Chapter 16 Race. Swarm let the bots pool at her feet again to detect invisible obstructions before she could collide with them. That was all the planning she had time for before her foot hit the first panel. A sudden wave of fatigue swept over her, and she stumbled to the next panel, which sent her shooting sideways into a patch that clung to her shoes. Okay, so this would need some planning. Taking a moment to reassess, she checked the squares she'd stepped on. Yellow, pink, red. So avoid red and yellow, but the pink could probably be used to boost maneuverability if she played her cards right. Planning was useless with incomplete data, so she wrenched her feet free and stepped on a green square. Nothing happened, but the neighboring orange square repelled her bots. The only colors left were purple and blue, so she hopped over a red square and landed solidly on blue. The surge of energy that filled her was basically the opposite of the draining effect of the yellow. Likewise, the slipperiness of the purple she tested was in direct contrast to the sticky red. Her experimentation had given Prince Snow a solid head start, but he wasn't faring well. He was charging blindly ahead, heedless of the colors beneath his feet. Even as she watched, he landed on an orange square and was flung backwards onto a purple patch. The resulting fall on his rear was spectacular in the amount of limb flailing involved. While watching the arrogant dillweed fumble around was prime entertainment, he was still making forward progress and Swarm was not. After a second to chart a path, she leapt forward and started to run. Having trouble? Swarm called forward as she raced along, feet landing unerringly on greens, purples, and blues. It was petty, but Prince Snow dragged her into this. She could twist the knife a little. I'm colorblind, you dunce! Wait, seriously? Swarm laughed. Holy crap, you unlucky sucker! Shut up! He lunged at her as she passed, only for his foot to land on a red panel and send him flat on his face. Arrgh! He screamed in frustration. Swarm almost pitied the guy. Almost. The energy from the blue panels bolstered the rush of euphoria from the runner's high. The ground fell away steadily under her zigzagging path forward. She could win this! A litany of cursing drew her attention back for a moment. Prince Snow had extricated himself and was following the same path she'd taken. He might not be able to distinguish the correct route, but he didn't have to if she'd do it for him. They were halfway to the finish line. She'd have to switch up her strategy if she didn't want her foe to pass her at the last second. With that in mind, she started skirting closer to hazard patches and made a point to follow a much more complex path. The pink areas helped a lot with that, and the time one sent her into a yellow zone wasn't too bad because she'd been so bolstered by the blue. 3/4 there, and her strategy seemed to be paying off. Prince Snow had been knocked back by more than one orange patch and seemed to be getting more and more frustrated. Swarm fought the urge to stick out her tongue at him, not that he would see it under her mask. 100 yards to the end. She had a sizable lead, a clear path forward, and strong momentum. Prince Snow had just suffered another yellow drain. Victory was in sight. An unexpected jerk on her leg made her fall on her face. Then the pain hit. Teeth digging into the meat of her calf, twisting pain in her ankle, hot blood down her leg, and no, it hurt! She scrabbled at the bear trap that had her, a white-stained rat, a construct, and pried it open just enough for it to snap shut an inch down. She screamed and yanked in a blind panic, doing even more damage to herself in the process. See you at the finish line! Prince Snow shouted as he ran past, and Swarm hated him. She summoned a javelin and prepared to throw it at him, but had a better idea. He was slow now that she wasn't guiding him, and he was close enough for her to whip a scarf around his ankle and send him sprawling onto a red swatch. It would only buy a little time. The javelin made for a passable lever, and she jammed it into the teeth of the trap. With the added leverage, she dragged her leg out. It was messy. The process peeled away skin in strips, and she lost her grip on the javelin twice. Each loss earned another bite, and each bite did more damage than the last. She was lucky the teeth missed her Achilles tendon. She cried with relief when she finally pulled her leg free. The only word that could describe her calf was mangled, and she wanted nothing more than to make the pain stop. It wasn't over yet, though, and with more willpower than she thought she possessed, she forced herself to stand and braced herself with the javelin. It made a lousy cane, but anything to make sure she didn't have to put pressure on her injuries. She limped to the nearest blue area and used the boost to summon scarves around her shin and swap her sneaker for a ski boot. Not the best splint or bandage, but good enough. Prince Snow bounced off an orange panel and swore. He was halfway between Swarm and the goal. Nowhere near the best path. Swarm gritted her teeth and took a step. It was torture. The going was slow but forward, and every movement sent fire shooting up her leg. The boost blue sections provided had less and less effect as more blood seeped past her makeshift bandages. All the same, she was gaining on the prince, who'd stumbled into a yellow, then stepped on a pink that shot him into a second yellow. He had no idea where to go. She slipped past him while he was distracted and hobbled to the final stretch. 3 more panels and she'd win. He noticed her. "I'm not gonna let you get away with this, thief!" He charged, running right over a blue and green. She swung the javelin like a baseball bat and sent him skidding into a red patch before she could register how stupid of an idea it was. Her knee buckled, and she planted the javelin tip in the ground before dragging herself across a green area, a blue area, and a purple area. Then she was over the white line, and it was done. She staggered to a tree and braced herself. The javelin dissolved once she had a sturdier support. Faye was there already. They clapped in delight. "You won! Congratulations, Silver!" "Oh, thank God." Then her uninjured leg gave out from under her. She'd have face-planted if not for the Virginia creeper vines that wound around her arm. The catch sent jerking pain up her shoulder, but she'd take it over having her shredded flesh hit dirt. "Ow!" "Thanks," she said as the vines pulled her so she could get one foot under herself. "Not a problem. Would you like a cane?" "Please." Before Faye could fashion one for her, Prince Snow finally broke free from the sticky patch that had once swarmed the race and bolted straight at her. His hands flashed through a pattern that ended with a white broadsword gripped in them. With the vines around her arm being the only thing keeping her upright, she had no way to dodge. In a split-second reflex, she threw up a cloak, stomped on the bottom edge with her good foot, and yanked it taut with her free arm hooked in the hood. He never connected. After a tense few seconds, Swarm lowered her arm to see what was going on. Her would-be assailant was frozen in place an inch from her shield. No, not frozen. He was clearly trembling in rage, but he couldn't move forward. Roots had sprung up from the ground and wrapped around him. He thrashed, but each root was thick as a rope, and he was thoroughly entangled. There'd be no getting out any time soon. Physical restraint did nothing to cool his temper. "I should have unmasked you when I had the chance," he spat. Swarm cringed, then winced when her leg informed her how much it did not like that. "If you're not going to say anything nice, you shouldn't say anything at all," Faye scolded. The roots binding Prince Snow slithered into a new configuration that lifted him into the air, and one slid over his mouth. When he bared his teeth, it pushed back so he bit down on it. "There," Faye declared over garbled profanities. "Now stay quiet and think about what you've done." No sooner had the order left Faye's lips than the tirade cut off mid-curse. Faye gave a sharp nod and turned to Swarm. "Did he get you, Silver?" "No, I'm okay. Thank you." "Think nothing of it. Now, about severing that link. You're worried about me forcing that through, which is why you fought so hard for victory, yes?" At her nod, a mischievous smile crossed their lips. "There's no need to worry. It doesn't matter." Swarm shook her head. "I'm pretty sure it matters a whole lot, actually." Faye's smile grew brighter. "See, it doesn't matter because I lied. I can't actually cut the connection." "You what?" The two offshoots were in perfect sync, even with Prince Snow gagged. Faye shrugged. "It's tech. I don't do so great changing tech. Plus, your dad made those things super clingy. I'm pretty sure if I cut the link in one place, it'd latch onto somewhere worse for your health." Swarm wondered whether Faye could stop and restart her heart. The steady drip of blood down her mangled leg told her that was about to be a moot point. "Fantastic. Don't be like that." Daisy trotted over and sniffed the blood seeping through the scarves not covered by the boot, then looked up. "You won the game, so you get to pick another prize, something even better than merely keeping your boss. Besides, you wouldn't have played if you'd known beforehand." Ray came over as well. When he lowered his muzzle, he licked her ski boot. Swarm, now feeling a cocktail of comforted, vulnerable, and surrounded, shuddered. He gave her another of those piercing looks. There was blood on his teeth from his earlier meal. "What do you want most, Silver?" Why was it so cold? "I want—" Her tongue felt swollen. Faye glided closer. "Let me. Silver." Something warm and irresistible bloomed in her stomach and crawled up to wrap around her throat. "Tell me what you want." "I want to survive this." She could have no easier stopped an earthquake than she could have kept those words from escaping her mouth. "I want to heal. I want to get better. I want to live. There was a small smile on Faye's beautiful face. I can give you that. Do you want it to be quick and perfect or immediate and messy? The pain in her leg pushed her, and she almost said immediately. The memory of her father's curled fingers caught the words before they could escape. Her leg was in a similar state as his hand. He had healed, but not enough, and he would not heal more without a power's intervention or a miracle. She didn't have much faith in either, but if Faye was offering her a chance to avoid needing one. Perfectly, she breathed, quickly and perfectly. Okay, hold still. This'll feel really, really weird, but it'll be over soon. Weird wasn't the right word for it. It was simultaneously an overstatement and understatement of the sensation that flooded Swarm's body. It flirted with pain without actually crossing the line, sort of tickled her liver without inducing the urge to laugh, and made her feel like her skin had detached from her muscles. All of this was layered over the pleasant warmth from earlier and under something else she could only describe as an undulation. The whole experience was distressing, close to the electrocution the bots had inflicted on her during the integration, but in a different way. As soon as it faded, the creeper supporting Swarm unwound. She gave a full-body shudder and rubbed her limbs. Everything still felt loose. Not doing that again, she told herself. There you go, Faye chirped. They hopped around Swarm in a circle and poked her biceps. I patched up your leg all the way as a freebie. Feeling good? A freebie? Wasn't healing her leg the main point of I want to live? Maybe they meant they'd have only healed her enough so she wouldn't die. Good is not the word I'd use. Unnatural might be better. My leg doesn't hurt anymore, though. When she dropped the bandages and boot, she saw a shredded pant leg and bloodstains. The flesh under those was in pristine condition. A quick wiggle proved her ankle was right as rain, too. That's normal. You'll feel better in a little bit. That was a relief. At least she wasn't hurting anymore. If you say so. Apparently satisfied that Swarm wouldn't keel over, Faye left her to Daisy and Ray and turned back to the root web holding Prince Snow up. What you did was mean. Are you going to apologize and behave if I let you down? He muttered something that sounded contrite and looked away. Faye took that as sufficient and lowered him until his feet were on the ground once more. Now be nice, Faye warned as they took the gag off. I'm sending you home soon, so entertain each other until I'm ready. Daisy's in charge. Come on, Ray. Swarm and Prince Snow waited until they had entered the tree line before staring each other down. Swarm shifted back when Prince Snow took a step forward. Keep your distance, she warned. He raised his hands in surrender. I'm calm. Uh-huh, means you can think. I'm not about to let you try and pull something at close range. So suspicious. You tried to murder me! You almost took my leg off! You'd have been fine. Faye would have fixed you. You can't have been counting on that. I would have talked them into it, Daisy piped up. See, the raccoon agrees with me. Not the point. She pinched the bridge of her nose in aggravation. Doesn't matter. Your plan fell apart. Faye can't help you. It fell apart before the race. You were never going to hand the bots over. You're a killer. Of course I'm not going to hand a weapon to you without a fight. He laughed, a bitter, nasty sound. I should have figured you had a defiant streak. More of a common sense streak. He plowed on, merrily ignoring her. That's fine. It didn't cost me anything this time. But thief, he prowled forward, coming to a stop once Daisy placed herself between them. I'm going to take my due from you one way or another. Keep making things difficult, and... He trailed off into a cruel chuckle. I told you I don't want to kill you, and that's still true. I'm not going to kill you, but oppose me again and I will destroy everything you care for before I crush your spirit, rip the bots from your broken body, and ensure you survive to live with your failure and guilt. Yikes, that sure was a villain monologue. Swarm had nothing to say in response. Daisy had all but doubled in size and was starting to growl. Prince Snow glared at her and raised his hand in the start of a sweeping motion. Swarm stepped between him and the raccoon. Her fear had evaporated in the face of the threat to the smaller creature. Do you want to piss off Faye while our food's still in your system? Back off, Downgrade, before you do something you'll regret. He lowered his arm. You're a fool. It was too soft to be a scolding. I know. You're a narcissist. I know. Going to stand your ground? What I'm fighting for is worth it. Going to hurt me? Once I have a plan, I'm not giving up on what's mine. Then we have nothing more to say to each other. I'd wish you luck, but yeah, no, not doing that. I'll wish you peaceful dreams instead. Those can't cause anyone harm. Had some bad ones lately? Going to have some more like. I'm back, Faye chirped from behind Swarm. She forced herself to turn slowly instead of jumping out of her skin. Faye appeared unchanged, as did Ray, but there was no telling how much they had heard or how much Daisy would tell them. Are you ready to go? Swarm and Prince Snow nodded in sync. Thank you for your hospitality, Swarm said. Could you point us in the direction of the path out? No, no, no. They shook their head with enthusiasm. There's a much better way. A root looped around each of their waists. They had enough time to share a look of terror before the roots tightened and flung them over the treetops in opposite directions. See you later! Faye waved at the two weapons as they flew out of the park. Daisy watched them soar over the treetops. How do you know the landing won't kill them? Faye waved a dismissive hand. Their dad could fly. I'm sure they'll figure it out.